On July 16, 1995, Jeff Bezos launched his online bookseller business, Amazon, out of a small garage in a rented house. This was the beginning of what would eventually grow into one of the largest American multinational technology companies, impacting and changing the world as we know it. Regret minimizing framework. I wanted to project myself forward to the age of 80. This was a decision that I had to make for myself, and the framework that I found to make it easy was what I called a term that only a nerd would use: a regret minimization framework. And say, okay, now I'm looking back on my life, I want to minimize the number of regrets I have. And you know what? I knew that when I was 80, I was not going to regret having tried this. I was not going to regret having wanted, trying to participate in this thing called the internet that I thought was going to be a really big deal. I knew that if I failed, I wouldn't regret that. But I knew the one thing I might regret is not ever having tried, and I knew that that would haunt me every day. And so when I thought about it that way, it was an incredibly easy decision. And I think that's a very good. It's if you can project yourself out to age 80 and think, what will I think at that time? It gets you away from some of the daily pieces of confusion. I left this Wall Street firm in the middle of the year. When you do that, you walk away from your annual bonus. That's the kind of thing that in the short term can confuse you. But if you think about the long term, then you can really make good life decisions that you won't regret later. Most regrets, by the way, are acts of omission and not commission. The story of Jeff Bezos. When Jeff started, he had a nice position with a steady income and annual bonuses. He didn't have to risk everything, but he soon saw that patterns were emerging that predicted the size of the internet. Today, he is valued at over $122.3 billion, serving as living evidence that you can succeed if you have faith in yourself. If we were to draw any conclusions from Jeff Bezos' success, what would be the trail of clues that would help us understand how he distinguished himself from other business owners and launched ventures that were above our wildest expectations? When preparing a business like this, Jeff Bezos has gained success through the following observations. In my opinion, it's important to consider the brand promise you intend to give consumers. This brand promise must align very well with the products or services you can provide, and in our case, that's what inspired the creation of Amazon.com. It's essentially the largest bookstore on earth, and we wanted to make use of this wide assortment to establish ourselves as an authoritative establishment. Being authoritative has several meanings. Authoritative choice. We were able to accomplish all of those things thanks to the internet. We could have more selection, lower prices, and the ability to inventory books in less expensive warehouse space rather than having to pay a lot of money for retail real estate in high-traffic areas. We could also have access to more information about products online than we could ever have in a physical store, which would allow us to truly establish an authoritative store. The biggest thing to remember, one of the biggest things to remember in business, is what you are bringing to the table. What is the promise you're dedicating your brand to? What is it that you bring potential customers that no other business can provide? As Jeff explains, being able to follow through on what you promise and not overextending or underextending yourself has a massive impact on whether or not your business is successful. One of the things that everybody should realize, and that is probably the single most important factor, is that any startup company that turns into a substantial company over the years never lose track of the fact that there was a lot of luck involved in that. So there are a lot of entrepreneurs, there are a lot of people who are very smart, very hardworking. Very few ever have, the planetary alignment that leads to a tiny little company growing into something substantial. So that requires not only a lot of planning, a lot of hard work, a big team of people who are all dedicated, but it also requires that not only the planets align, but you get a few galaxies in there aligning too. And that's certainly what happened to us. Our timing was good, our choice of product categories, the books was a very good choice. And we did a lot of analysis on that to pick that category as the first best category for e-commerce online. But there were no guarantees that that was a good category at the time we launched this business. It wasn't even crystal clear that the technology would improve fast enough that ordinary people, non-computer people, would even want to bother with this technology. So that was good luck. So there are a whole bunch of things that have to sort of align to make it work. Hard work plays a role in creating hard work a business, but one of the most underrated factors in the startup success is luck. Being able to hit the market with a successful business at the right time with the right products and with a carefully thought out business strategy is a step in the right direction to help your business if you wish to become an entrepreneur, thrive, and be successful. Customer obsession. The most crucial thing is to be customer obsessed. This means that instead of just satisfying your customers, you should figure out how to delight them. Regardless of the function of your customers, you must have some passion for the industry you plan to develop and work in, because if you don't, you'll be competing against people who do have that kind of passion, and they'll be able to produce better goods and services. You can't be a mercenary, you have to be a missionary. Missionaries create better products and services, and they always succeed. Mercenaries are merely looking to make money, but ironically, the missionaries always wind up making more money. If you choose a business idea that you genuinely love, you have to be willing to take risks. If you don't, you're probably already doing it, and many people are doing it well. You have to have something that might not work, and you have to accept that your venture will be an experiment that might fail, but that's okay. The good news is that at Amazon, we constantly take risks and we actively encourage it. We also talk about failure and feel that our failures must grow with the company. If we don't have big failures, we won't be able to move the needle. If we don't, we won't be swinging hard enough, as Jeff refers to it. We won't be customer obsessed. Passion, taking risks, and being passionate about your business are two of the most crucial factors in determining whether a business succeeds. Satisfied customers are more likely to recommend your business to others and return for more business. If you are passionate about what you do, it will come through your daily work. If you can take risks, you can step outside of your comfort zone and either grow your business significantly or use the opportunity to grow and learn. Winning support. Do you ever have trouble winning support for any of your ideas? The answer is yes. I have to. If I have a new idea that I am in love with and I want to see it pursued, I do have to build support for it, just like anybody would, because you need very smart people to embrace the idea and move it forward. We have a framework at Amazon. It's one of our leadership principles. It's called Disagree and Commit, and that is extremely useful. Because after you've discussed an idea, you do need to make a decision and move forward, and people, the whole team, needs to really commit to that. When I really feel strongly about something and the team disagrees with me, I have a phrase that I like to use, which is helpful, which is, I want you to gamble with me on this. It's very different from praising that new right, because the truth is, when you're in a position like that where nobody knows what the right answer is, you're not saying, I'm right on this. You're saying, I want you to gamble with me on this because I don't know if it's right either. I disagree with it all the time, and I promise the people when I do it, I'm very clear. I don't agree with this. I think it's probably not going to work, but I will never say I told you so, and I'm going to be on your team. I will do everything I can to make it work. Endorsing novel concepts. One of the most important ways to establish trust with your team is to be willing to embrace novel ideas even if you don't agree with them. A successful and thriving business practice requires people to be able to openly voice their ideas and opinions in a safe environment. Jeff describes his Disagree and Commit policy as a way for people to discuss new ideas and new risks they believe could be beneficial to the company. Jeff Bezos uses his enormous wealth to support several charitable causes, including his nonprofit organization that fights climate change, the Bezos Earth Fund. In total, Jeff has given over $2.4 billion to charities that he strongly believes in. He knows that great power comes with great responsibility, and he wouldn't be in the position he is in today if it weren't for his success and his clients. What was your favorite part of the video? Let us know in the comments section below.